Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Mads is Reading. I'm Mads and thank you all for watching. The end of May has come and so that means it's time for a May reading wrap up, which I am very excited for, as well as all my June hopefuls. Will I get to all these? Definitely not. Okay, May was actually a really good reading month for me. Like, it wasn't as good as I was expecting it to. I knew that I would have a lot of free time, and so I was hoping I would use that free time to just read. I did not use my free time in a very productive manner, but oh well. What can you do? Also, the month did kind of have like a rough start for reading because there was like finals and then I was annotating, so that kind of like makes it slow to read, and so I wasn't zooming through like I was hoping to, and so I think that also kind of hit a damper in the beginning, which probably didn't help me get moving. But it's okay because I ended up reading 4 books and I am very happy with the books that I read, and I am very pleased that I read 4 books because for a while there I thought I was only gonna get to like 2, and then I would have been very sad because then all my hopes for May would have gone out the window and it would have been very sad, and I would have been very sad, and this video would be very boring because I would only be talking about like 2 books. So I'm very pleased. The first book I read was Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. It was a very cute read. I think I ended up rating it about 4 stars. I actually wasn't planning on reading this book this month, but the lovely Elsa sent it to me in the mail, and she has been wanting me to read this book for a very long time now. I guess not a very long time, but she has been wanting me to read it. How could I not read it right away? So I ended up reading it basically as soon as I got it. I finished up the book I read before this and then I just jumped right into it, and I annotated it, and I honestly think that these are the best annotations I've ever done. I was very pleased with all my annotations. Like, I can't find a good page, but they were just all so gorgeous, and there was so much more than my previous book that I annotated, which would be Book Lovers. I am upping my annotation game, guys, and I'm very pleased because the aesthetic is just on point. And I think I did a post on my Instagram with kind of a small little annotation dump, so I think everybody should check that out. So if you want to see some of my gorgeous annotations that aren't just me flipping to random pages in the book, then go check out that post because it was amazing. You can also see my review there, my full review. This book is kind of a rivals to lovers with these 2 neighbors. This girl, Liz, is wanting to kind of get with this guy that moved back into town. They knew each other when they were kids, and so she's asking her rival to help her. And you know, what can go wrong there? And so they obviously end up falling in love. And it's so cute. There's a lot of movie references. In fact, at the beginning of each chapter, there's like a little movie quote from movies I've basically never seen before. I've seen a couple of them, but definitely not as much as I should apparently. And so there's like a lot of movie references, and she loves rom-coms. And so if you love rom-coms, then I think you should definitely read this, because with how much they talk about rom-coms and with the fact that this is just a rom-com in and of itself, it's just so good. I think I ended up rating it 4 stars. First of all, I was not actually expecting it to be a YA book. For whatever reason, I got into my head that it was an adult book, and so I kind of went into this book with that like mentality, and so I was very shocked to realize that they are in fact in high school and this is like a high school romance. But I think it was still really good for it being a high school romance. There's nothing wrong with that. But I did get a lot of secondhand embarrassment from this book, and that is a big no-no for me. Liz kind of had these really embarrassing moments where I kind of just had to pause and be like, nope, didn't like that. So I think I could have done without that, and that probably really held me back a lot. But Liz and Wes are so cute. And I think the banter that they had made up for everything else, because their banter was just impeccable, and the way they teased each other. It was so cute. It was a very cute read, so thank you, Elsa, for sending me this book and making me read it. I'm so glad that I did, and I think you should definitely give this a try. Just keep in mind that it is in fact a high school romance, and it is kind of cringy, but it is still a really good read once you kind of get past that. Book number 2 of May was the final book in the Aurora Cycle series, Aurora's End by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I ended up giving this book, I think, 3.5 stars, which is very different from the 5 stars that I gave the first 2 books in the series. First of all, I was really scared to read this because of how Aurora Burning ended. I was not prepared for being heartbroken because I was ready to be heartbroken with the ending of the last book. So I put it off for a lot longer than I should have, and I did have to wait for it to come out. So it has been like 2 years since I've read Aurora Burning, so I think that doesn't help, but I didn't love this book as much. I think there were a couple of things that I could have done without. It does have the found family trope, but they are very much split up. But I will accept it because the reunion was like really good, and the romance was not that great, I will say that. I think the romance in the first 2 books were a lot better, and then who Tyler gets with kind of like, I don't know, there's no chemistry there. There really isn't a lot of chemistry in this book, but it was a really fun adventure and things that they like went through, and they kind of went through a lot of stuff in this book, and the adventures that they went on was just kind of insane, and I think that made up for a lot of it. I hated the ending. It just felt very like, you can save the world with love, and it just kind of irked me because, like, yeah, it's a YA book and it's okay to have love as like a main theme in the book. They did not defeat their villain like I think they should have. Like, I don't think that was done very well, so that was a really big disappointment for me. This book was kind of a letdown. For those of you who don't know, the series is about this squad of space cadets basically who kind of get thrown together even though they didn't really choose each other, and they have to go on this really big mission to save the world, and it really is insane. This final book is the final battle, and there is a lot of kind of sciencey stuff that goes into it that I never understood, but I just kind of smiled and nodded along. It was a pretty good series, but I just did not love this last book, which breaks my heart because I had high hopes for this one and it did not pay off. My 4th book of May was a cute little rom-com, and that is The Falling in Love Montage by Kiara Smythe. I have been telling myself to read this book for the last 2 summers. I have been saving it for summer specifically. I knew that I had to read this in summer because it is very much kind of a summer rom-com, and I finally got around to it, and I am very glad that I did. It is a very cute book. Also, look how floppy it is. It is so floppy. So, if you rate books by floppiness, 10 out of 10. This book is about this girl who had gotten her heart broken by her ex-girlfriend and kind of sworn off love. She'll hook up a little bit with other girls as long as there's no strings attached and there's no expectations from her. And of course, what does she do but run into this girl who offers a falling in love montage of a summer, who basically says, well, we both know that the summer's gonna end, so let's just do all the falling in love montages from the movies. And it is very cute. There's definitely a lot of character growth in this book, and there is quite a few like sad themes in it too, and it's just a really good book. It's kind of another high school romance in that they had just finished up their final year of high school and they're getting ready to go off to college, and so of course there's a lot of those themes of moving on from high school, which is definitely a very real thing, and I think it's good to read books like that, especially when you yourself are going through it. So I definitely should have read this, you know, last summer when I was going through that, but it's fine. I loved the characters. The 2 main girls, Saoirse and Ruby, were very cute, and Oliver had my heart. I found Saoirse and Oliver's friendship just perfection. They had such good friendship chemistry and I loved it. It was a 4-star read for me though because I just wasn't like kicking and screaming while reading this. I really did enjoy it and it was a good book, but it was missing something for me, I guess. It just wasn't it for me. I am very glad that I read this book. Finally. It's been so long since I've gotten this. Very cute book if you're looking for a cute little queer rom-com. If you like Better Than the Movies, I also recommend this. They talk about rom-coms a lot in this book, so if you like that aspect of Better Than the Movies, then this is definitely a good book for you. Now I'm very excited to talk about this next one, and if you follow me on Twitter, you will know I've been raving about this book for the last couple of days. I went on a road trip and devoured this book on that road trip. It was definitely a 5-star read for me. It was my first 5-star of the month and kind of my first 5-star in a while, and it gave me all the emotions, and that is the very popular Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I almost don't have any words for this book because of how much I loved it. I don't really know how to explain it all that well. It's about this girl who gets thrown into this quadrant of dragon riders and has to go through this training despite her being weakened from a disease that her mom had when she was pregnant with her. So she's basically been very weak all her life, and so she has to go through this very intense challenges and training that really puts her through the ringer, and it's just so good. There's so much more to it, and I loved the romance. The romance was a solid 50% of this book. I loved it. The romance was just to die for. It was so good. I was screaming into my pillow. Their chemistry was so good, like undeniable chemistry was there and present, which was just amazing because I feel like a lot of the fantasy books we get, the couple doesn't really have that great of chemistry, but Xaden and Violet, peak chemistry. The friends that Violet made were just amazing. I loved all of them. There was even like a hint of found family in it, which you all know how I feel about that. I loved it so much. Every single aspect of this book was just immaculate. And the dragon, so they kind of communicate with their writers through their mind. And so the dragon banter that we got in this book was just amazing, and it was so cute, and I loved every second we got of it. I had no issues with this book. There were no faults in this book. It was completely and utterly perfect, and I'm very heartbroken that I finished it and I have to wait until November for the second book. Why did I do this to myself? It hurts that I can't continue this right away, especially with the ending. First of all, in the last 50 pages, I was crying. I was actually in my bed crying, and I was not doing good. There's definitely quite a bit of angst in this. The ending just has you jaw on the floor shocked, waiting for this next book. This might be my new favorite book. Honestly, I know it's only May, but this might be the winner book of the year. I don't know how any other book can top this, except maybe the sequel to it. I don't think I'm gonna survive until November, and I will do whatever I need to do to get Iron Flame. It's just so good, and I think everybody needs to read this book like right now. And I know it's very popular, and sometimes popular books aren't really worth the hype on Book Talk and Bookstagram, but this one is. And some people don't love it. I won't blame them for that, but this book is worth it. This book was also a gift from Mark on Twitter, and I will never not be thankful for this because he literally gifted me my new favorite book, and so thank you so much for giving me this absolutely amazing book. I probably wouldn't have read it so soon if I wasn't gifted it, so just thank you. Honestly, the best thing anybody could have gotten me. Thank you. That is my May reading month. It was a very good month, and I am very pleased with the books that I read. So let's dive into my June hopefuls. First of all, I'm a mood reader at heart, so will I get to most of these? Probably not. I'll probably only actually end up reading 2 of them. But that's okay, because that's why they're called hopefuls. I'm also very glad that we have the term hopefuls to use now. I saw somebody using that on Bookstagram, and I was like, I need to start using that because it's not really a TBR, because it's not definitive, and I'm probably not going to actually end up reading them, but I want to. I hope I do. So it is very much a hopeful. So if one of these books you love and you're very excited for me to read, don't get your hopes up. Starting off with a book I'm currently reading. It's actually on my phone, and I don't typically read ebooks, so this is an adventure, but it's really not that bad so far, and I might actually start reading a couple more ebooks because it's kind of easy to get through. I just really do prefer physical books, but it's also kind of hard because I have this psychological need to own every book I read. my bad. But I'm currently reading The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. It is a very popular book on everywhere. So I figured I'd give it a try, and it's not too bad so far. It very much is Grumpy X Sunshine and not a slow burn at all. They like kiss within the first 17% of the book. I don't always love that. I love my slow burns, but I won't complain. It also is kind of funny right now because they're both like, oh my gosh, they're really attractive. Wait, no, can't be attracted to them. But wait, they are. And so their little internal banter with themselves. Very fun. A lot of internal struggles that's happening. It's a pretty good book so far. I think I'm about 25% of the way done. And I started it yesterday, so I'm getting through it pretty well. Very happy for that. My next book will be House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I actually might double dip a little bit and read it at the same time, which I don't typically do, but since, you know, one's on my phone and one's physical, I feel like it balances out pretty well, and they are very different books, so I feel like it'll be good. This is a YA found family magical. I think it's kind of an urban fantasy too. I told everyone in my last video that I would read this book because it sounds completely amazing. So I actually have a lot of high hopes for this one. And I just heard that it's very like whimsical and fun, and I need that after sobbing to Fourth Wing. I feel like it's gonna be a 5-star read, but I also feel like me saying that is gonna jinx it. So let's just see how these two books go. And since I am reading The Fine Print right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and add the rest of the series onto my June hopefuls because why not? I'm very bad at reading like series back to back, but it's a good habit to do. Terms and conditions and final offer. I think it's final offer. Both gonna be on my June hopefuls. I hope they go well, and I hope I do enjoy them because they're very much well loved, and I know Elsa loves them. I don't like not liking books that Elsa loves because it's good for no one. Another book I'm really hoping to read in June is Dark Rise. I've been wanting to read this one ever since I got it. It just looks really good, and I know that it has, or at least I think it has, a found family. I've heard the romance is not very prominent in it, which dang, but it looks so good, and I feel like it's kind of a good read after Fourth Wing. I think they give off similar vibes. I'm really hoping. The dark will rise, who will fall and who will stand. I think it's gonna be very adventurous, and you just know that the fight scenes are gonna be so good, and it's probably gonna have the main character kind of learning how to do magic. Oh yeah, he's a dock boy, so he's definitely gonna be learning the magic from people who have been doing it for a while. I'm very much looking forward to reading this book, and it is a YA fantasy. It has magic. It's very different from their last book series, just by the vibes, the age range, and from what I've heard. The next book I want to read is very much for summer, and I'm very much reading it for the summer vibes, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. First off, atrocious. They stuck the sticker on, and I'm too scared to get it off because I can never get Target stickers off well. I got sticker gunk all over my friend's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder copy when I was trying. This is the one bad thing about Target, is the fact that they put their stickers everywhere. So this book is about two very different writers, who are stuck in neighboring beach houses and are both in writer's block, which, relatable. So I think as a writer, this is going to be a very fun book to read, and as a reader, I'm going to love it. And I loved Book Lovers. It was a 5-star read for me. So this is another book I really do have a lot of high hopes for, and I want to annotate this one, just like I did Book Lovers. But I'm very much looking forward to this, and I hope I can get tabs that kind of match the cover because that always makes me really happy. I'm finally reading another Emily Henry book. The banter that she writes is amazing, and the romance that she writes has such great chemistry, at least for the last book that I read. So these last 3 books have lots of high hopes for them. The last book that I hope I can get to in June, and let's be real, I probably won't, but oh well, is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I've just heard amazing things about this book, and the sequel is out, so that kind of does help me if I do fall in love with it and I need the sequel right away. So that's nice. I just need to then buy the sequel. But I am very much looking forward to reading this book. I've heard nothing but good things. The only thing I'm not looking forward to for this book is the fact that I'm pretty sure it has a love triangle, and I don't love love triangles. I will only accept them if one of them is like an obvious non-option and it just makes the other one jealous, because jealousy scenes are my kryptonite. But it just looks so good. It's an urban fantasy about this girl who kind of gets dragged into this world of magic, I think, and powers when she goes to college, and that just sounds amazing. She's probably a chosen one. I feel like she'd be a chosen one. That typically is how urban fantasies go a little bit. And look at the cover. The cover is so cool. She honestly won with this cover. I'm very much looking forward to reading that one, and I know a couple of my friends on Twitter are going to be very happy if I do get to this. And I think if I don't get to it this month, I'll try and shoot for July. I feel like the cover matches July vibes with the colors, so I really hope that June is not a letdown, because at this point I'm putting a lot of hope into the books that I'm reading, except the Dreamland Billionaire series. I'm not putting a lot of hope into it because it's typically not the books I go for, but I'm still just looking forward to kind of seeing my reaction to them and to seeing my own opinion to another book series that everybody is obsessed with, because I love having my own opinions. Also, I'm not entirely sure how many books I'm actually going to be able to get to in June, because I do start work and I'm kind of hoping to get a second job. I'm hoping that I can use my downtime to write and read a lot, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll just be reading a lot on my breaks and when I get home from work, because I can't really read on the job. So let's hope this goes well. Thank you so much for watching this video and sticking with me throughout it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you find a new book to read. Hopefully I gave you the motivation to read at least one of these, because I love doing that. And I hope everybody else had a great reading month, and that June is good for all of us, that we're all able to read the books that we want to, and I want a good 5-star month for everybody. So thank you again for sticking with me, and I will see you all next week. Bye!